Okay. Hello, people. Welcome to Star Trek Pathos. This is the third part of the 12th episode by the name of Neath the Shale Stars. And, well, last time we were just finding out what exactly stirs Neath the Shale. So...
Oh, is that what this episode's called?
Yes.
It was never specified in session, so...
Ah, I see.
So I didn't know.
As I can see, you do not watch the archives. Why should
No.
you, though? That's a good point.
No, I'm in it.
That just means that it takes twice as much of my life.
Yeah. No.
And plus, I'm in it. I hate my voice. I'm gonna watch something when I hate my voice.
So, one moment. I'll quickly post a screenshot of the uploads in the thing, so you can see in reference material.
Oh, no.
Okay, so the people we've got here are, of course, the players. And chat. Hello, VGR. Welcome. Or Eliza. Okay. Chloe. Chloe, have you been here as well? You might have been. I'm not entirely sure. Hello, Rooms Path. Welcome. Pause the shady. So, right.
Sure.
Would you like to introduce yourselves and your characters, please? If for some strange reason someone is watching the third part of this episode as their first Star Trek Pathos stream.
I mean, who knows? Might just be randomly recommended and they click on it.
Or I might just make a really alluring thumbnail.
Sure. Sure, I'll start. Hello everyone, I'm CangoFango. I play Doviah, Drenlich, Twossock on the USS Pathos, who is the ship's comms officer, so communications officer. Who is Shiun?
Hello? Yes. Hello, I am Dodrebur, or Dodd, and I play Captain Shiun of the USS Pathos, who is a Vulcan.
And I am Sir Rogue. And I play Nero, the flight controller.
Thank you very much.
Great.
So, last we left off, you'd found a world, a moon, with an unusual atmosphere. Upon investigation, you found out that there was a Romulan group doing stuff there. You only found one of the group. You didn't find any buddies or anything else. But you did find a ship, landed ship. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that there were some things down there that apparently got very hot, and the Romulan on board the ship got woken up and got talked with, and you found out that there were some things there that apparently came out during the eclipse, and that were quite intimidating, to say the least. Probably scary would be a better word, at least to the Romulan. Whether they're actually scary, who knows. And good thing was you also got data from the lander. You forced your way in, got some data because of some very nice rolls that were made with the ship, with the systems. The mission appears to be, the Romulan mission appears to be one of scientific exploration. However, there were some inconsistencies in the way that the data was presented, so there might be some sort of code going on there, or maybe it's just you're not used to Romulan, which has previously been established. The Romulan also said that a ship by the name of Sela would be back to pick him up at some point, and so he's kind of waiting for that now, while the eclipse, the next eclipse, has begun. You transported a probe down to the surface, which went surprisingly well, However, the probe is significantly less complicated than a life form, and you are getting telemetry of these living things, blob-like things, emerging from the tunnels to the surface. They are not glowing bright, as the Romulan had said. Instead, they appear to, at least partially, be shiny, reflective. We didn't get any more data on that yet, because that is where we last left off. Did I forget any important bits?
That's about it.
I think so.
I think that's it. I think so. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I'm not a note taker, so I don't know.
Well, luckily OBS is taking notes for you, so you can just go back and watch the streams and then you'll know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
The two in the collapsing cave got out. Namely Shiun and Doviah. So yeah.
2?
3.
What do you mean 2?
Wait, so who?
You were there too.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
There were more than 2.
There were the other party as well, but we went
Yes.
further in.
Yes, there were 3.
Yeah, don't worry.
All the player
I'm very
characters were
scalable.
there. All the player characters were there.
Okay, yeah.
It's just one. Well, not all of the players.
I'm not as loud in this one.
Yeah, not all the players did equal amounts of things.
Yeah, that's my bad.
No, it's not your
looked
fault
at
that not all the players. did.
Yeah, I looked at my notes and that's why. Yeah, sorry.
So,
Anyway,
anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yes, the game.
creatures.
So let's
Creatures on the moon.
continue
What we got?
with that. Let's continue with that. Jay Baylor is focusing entirely on the telemetry that is coming in from the probe. Closer analysis reveals that the shiny parts appear to be a form of metallic exoskeleton made of what the probe reads as aluminum, considering it's American, plates. Inside the creatures, it looks like it's mostly jelly. No specific discernible organs, at least not from the probe. It is not a medical probe, it is a probe designed to analyze spatial phenomena and such. There's a bit on the low end of its operational scale. And there are just more and more of them. No, it would not stop a 9mm rubber ball, I'm assuming you mean. Yeah, so more and more of them are coming up to the surface. And they're just kind of slowly rolling around at the moment.
Right.
Jay Baylor is going to keep monitoring the situation, and it's going to take a while before more interesting bits come up. Is there anything anyone would like to do during that time?
I guess. I mean, there's not much to do, but other than someone should probably research it. And someone should follow up with our guest and ask if the description we have would match with what they saw. Because that's not really what they described, though it could, in theory, be their own lights reflecting off a highly reflective surface. It would have to be really, really reflective to have that effect. Unless they simply only produce light under certain conditions as a defense mechanism or something. But that's all speculation. So, follow-up questions important.
Yeah, do we know if they're making any sound? Or do we not?
What?
On the planet. No, on the moon, on the moon.
The probe.
Yes.
The probe isn't designed to pick up sound waves, considering it's meant for deep space.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Scan and analysis.
Okay. Yeah, that does make sense.
If you had previously stated that you want to fit it with things like those
Microphones.
special sensors, then yes, but that wasn't done.
Yeah, that's true.
Although I will point out, we did start with 6 momentum, but if as scenes change, of course, stuff will evaporate. As usual.
Yes.
So, does a player want to do any of that follow-up, or would you, as a group, rather have that happen off-screen?
I think that should be on screen.
Okay.
So, who wants to be on research duty and who wants to be on questioning theory? Duty? My brain is like thinking about sentences at the same time.
Yeah.
Got a little mixed up.
Sure. It probably makes most sense for me to be on the questioning duty.
Yes, that would make sense.
So
Let's not do that then.
Nero, I can see either, but more likely research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Did you want to say
Which
something?
character seems least confident in being able to handle the current situation?
Definitely
That's
not,
a question to the players.
Definitely not the captain.
If the research is science-based, then I've got no chance.
Very well.
I don't
Then
know.
Doviah is on questioning duty,
Sure.
and Shiun will help with research, or more likely lead with research, due to having high science and having a focus in life as we don't know it.
Okay.
All right. I'm
Alright.
just quickly making sure I know how to spell a word that will probably come up. Don't worry, it's fine. So I do not know where that link points to in chat. I've not clicked it. I do not know where that points to. Anyway, so let's do. Oh, actually, what scene do you want to do first? What scene do you want to do first?
I think probably the questioning first.
Mm-hmm. Questionable decision, but sure.
Ugh. Tons.
Tons? Yes, tons of puns. Okay, let's do the questioning first. So,
Was the question asked to chat?
no.
Ah, okay.
So, Doviah Twossock,
Yes.
who we found out is a woman.
Yeah.
We found that out a while ago.
Yes.
This is not a new
I
discovery.
can't hear anyone, by the way. Oh,
What?
does it work now?
What?
There we.
What? What happened?
I tried to. Sorry about
confused.
that. I try. I want to look at the link in chat to see if that's anything noteworthy or related to what's going on, and I turned it down.
I see.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry. It's not like we've gone for 19 minutes already. So,
Yes.
the scene.
What's going on? Sorry. What happened?
Well, you're gonna go on questioning duty.
Sure.
So,
Yes.
the scene
You
is
need to
set
question the Romulan about, whether or not things match up. Our
Right.
observations and his observations.
Okay.
So,
Right.
you find him in sickbay.
Mm-hmm.
He's currently in bed, seemingly not doing anything. Or either that or lost in thought. Who knows? When you walk in. As you walk in, he says, "Officer, has the warbird made
It's
contact yet?"
Not yet. It's not arrived yet. I came. We're currently scanning on the moon what's going on with the eclipse. These strange entities, and I wanted to see if our scans, our data matches up to what you've been able to find out.
Go ahead.
All right. So I get out a pad. Probably, I don't know. Would this be the right location for that, or would we go to science lab or something?
You can do it here.
The-
Plus, there are
okay.
those screens that can
Questioning.
be those screens on the arm that can be rotated on the sick bed that you can call up the information on.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
prefer.
So sure. I'd put the information we have on those and then get him to look it all through.
Mm-hmm. So he looks through sensor data, and after a while, Mr. Brain says, "It is happening exactly how it started. You're right. They were not. They were not glowing to begin with. They glowed later. I don't know what triggered it, but I would strongly advise you not to send anyone down during any of this time."
Yes, I agree with that. Thank you.
Do you have any follow-up questions? Clarification? Anything?
So, sure. So, out of character, how much have they told? How much have they told us about what happened? They were about the other crew members that all died, or well, aren't there anymore.
They know that what we know that they know
Mm-hmm.
is that they saw these bright creatures. They hid themselves in a cave. The rest of them went back to the ship, and based on what we found there, they're all almost certainly dead.
Right.
Or they
Okay.
were brought underground to be very slowly harvested or something. But
Yeah.
we'll go with the technically more optimistic route where they just died a quick death.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Right. So, have you been able to find? Were you able to find out any further information than what we've gathered when you were conducting scans on the planet? On the moon. On the moon.
We had begun scientific surveys when the eclipse hit. Our team members spread out to observe the effects on the rock formations of the cooling temperatures. When it started, they tried to make it to the ship. I hid in a cave. I did not know whether any of them had made it to the ship before your kind of looks around and says, before your report.
Right. Was there any data when you were starting the survey? Was there any data you found out then before the eclipse happened?
Our equipment was functioning as expected. We have discovered a significantly greater amount of subterranean waterways, lakes, connecting rivers. Other than that, our scans did not turn anything useful.
Right. All right.
Maybe ask about their behavior,
Yes.
movement patterns, anything.
Yes, sir. How did you behave on the planet? No, the creature behaved. Ugh.
I know. Was there any specific information? Any other specific information I was supposed to find out through this, or just generally?
How should
Follow-up
this Romulan guy
questions.
know? How should this
Just
Romulan guy know?
follow-up questions. We know a little bit more from our scans.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get that information, confirm that it matches up, and then try and use that to ask follow-up questions, which will get further details. Now that he's a little calmer, not so much in shock, he's had time to rest, maybe you can get more out of him.
What more could you want?
So sure. So what are these on the moon? What are they called? Or what do we call them? Are they entities or beings or anomalies or like what?
Is this in character?
Creatures.
Entities, aliens, whatever.
Creatures.
Okay.
Just call them something.
Okay.
No, that's no. Well, we shall call them the Twossocks.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And what was his name again? Sorry. Did we know his name?
We don't. If you want to turn this into a friendly conversation, you can ask for it.
Okay. Right. So say, and also, oh, I totally forgot. I am Doviah Twossock. I'm the comms officer of the ship. What's your name?
I am Wilmar, Ulan of the Empire.
Ah, it's a pleasure
What?
to meet you.
One moment. I'll. One moment.
Uh-huh.
One moment. There we go.
Thank you.
Great.
There.
Ah. Okay.
What is your rank here?
I am Lieutenant Junior Grade.
How does that correlate?
Well, I get to be on the bridge. I'm the Chief Communications Officer. I'm not familiar with Romulan rankings, unfortunately.
Interesting. You had some more questions.
Yes. These alien entities that started appearing on the planet, were you able to get any more readings on them, perhaps? Any, like, for example, any, like, behavioral patterns or movements?
The others had more equipment that would have been capable of getting more detailed information. I was tasked with setting up and guarding some more geologically oriented equipment. In terms of behavior, they started swarming us. Glowing, bright, hot. I don't know. I don't know what they did. For all I know, they could have been doing anything.
I see. Well, I would be taking notes in this.
No? You would really? Such a shock.
Right.
Or more likely, since a lot of things are voice controlled, you'd be recording it. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. That's true.
Siri, take notes. No, we computer take notes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, so do we know how, out of curiosity, do we know how long, like when the Romulans arrived here, and when?
Well,
so a few days ago when the last eclipse happened? Or?
You do know that it takes 14 Earth days for the moon to orbit the planet, and there's a 10-hour eclipse in that period. The eclipse is only now just starting, so assuming this happened in the last eclipse, it would have happened a little bit less than 2 weeks ago.
Right. So,
but you don't specifically know. He could have been down there for more than that. Who knows?
okay. Sure. That's another bit of information. Okay.
You might want to consider asking about like they were swarming, but was it like everything in the area was swarming, or did like a group break off, or, you know, was everything just kind of clustering all over the place and they might have just happened to be in the area?
That's a good one. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I shall ask that.
Okay. So before I will mention the other thing as well. So, all right. So roughly when would you say this happened? When you came to survey the planet or the moon? Roughly when was this?
We did not come to survey, we came for scientific research. Why do you think that we came to survey?
I mean the eclipse, but yeah, the scientific study of the moon.
Our lander was dropped off. He thinks for a moment. Yes. No more than 1.5 orbital periods ago.
Right.
Incidentally, if you don't know what an orbital period is, it is the time a body takes to orbit another body. That's the orbital period.
Okay. So
Which orbital period?
I would guess the moon's.
You don't have to guess. He's right in
Yeah.
front of you. You can ask.
Yeah. I mean, I as a player would guess, but.
Yes.
So that is an orbital period of the moon orbiting the gas giant, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Right. Right, and about those alien entities, you said they were swarming the place. Did all of them traverse the moon's surface seemingly at random, or were there perhaps specific groups around, or like what, if you know?
At first they were all individual, small. And then they clustered. They moved as larger entities, and they attacked us.
Right.
We tried defending ourselves with our disruptors, but there were too many.
Right, I see. Did the disruptors have any effect on them?
Yes, they disintegrated any that they hit, but there were just too many.
I see.
But going back to you saying surveying this world, I'm curious, what prompted you to choose those specific words? I'm not that fluent in Earth English.
I was still thinking about the eclipse. I meant scientific study of the moon.
Right. Like,
Okay, so quick question. I try to use the exact wording that the NPCs use in my notes, and I do have written down that prior to that question being asked, he said that they had begun scientific surveys. It is
Yeah.
uncertain if how he interprets survey as an overall objective as opposed to a specific subset of scientific study. But
Yeah.
it's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's why I chose the words as well.
Or maybe it's because you found all that survey equipment down there.
That as well. That's true.
Does Doviah respond?
We'll see.
Sure.
Good
sure.
choice.
Sure. I'll respond. So. And. Well, yes. Come to think of it, we did find surveying equipment on the moon's surface. So that's probably why I chose those words. It was damaged, of course.
Yes. Yes, of course. Sorry, I apologize for my curiosity in this matter.
It is all right. So, thank you very much for your time. If there's not any more information you have regarding what happened on the moon, then I suppose that will be it.
If something relevant comes to mind, I shall contact you.
Thank you. That will be very much appreciated.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
So
Head out.
that concludes that scene then.
Mhm. Probably head to the bridge.
While all of that is happening, what are the others doing?
Researching.
Yeah.
Researching
Debris for
Any-
some reason.
any prior reports of things that acted similar or looked similar or had a similar structure or functions, anything that falls in line with it, so that we can, even if we've never encountered this specific thing, we can start deducing things based on what other things that are similar to it, the properties that they have.
That sounds reasonable. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me, I'm gonna say a difficulty 1, science plus either reason or insight, assisted by the ship. The ship's computers plus.
And I'll lead because I'm the science one.
Computers plus science.
But Nero is there to help.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have a focus in life as we don't know it,
Mm-hmm.
but
That applies.
does that apply?
Yep, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, why didn't I get up? 11, that's not that bad.
What are we at with momentum?
Let's see, that was
5
one
or
scene,
4,
so
isn't
that
it?
was 2, so we're at 4.
Okay.
Aw, Eliza is still gonna call you Captain, even though she's now got her own ship. Aw.
What? Ah.
Well, she did buy it with her own money.
Space yacht.
Or probably, I don't actually know how they obtained it.
Anyway.
Oh, ship of
Anyway.
For me?
Yes, anyway.
So I I think I'll just do a straight roll. Like, it's only a difficulty 1, but I need to get that 1 in order for anything that follows to actually work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll just roll.
Oh.
Huh.
There, 1.
Yep, that's...
And me, I do 1 dice, right? Complication
Yes.
1.
1d20.
I can't do insight, right?
Kango can roll for the
Yes, you can.
Sure.
shit to finish
And-
the trifecta.
I can't do
trifecta.
insight. Insight, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Insight and science. This is-
Okay.
Science
Right.
for sensors.
2.
Complication 1.
Mhm.
Probably computers.
It is computers
Computers,
plus
yeah.
science, like I said before, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
Computers plus science. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
That was strange. Okay. No.
Ah, I
A
didn't get
19.
Well,
ones.
Well,
apparently the pathos is not very helpful in this matter.
There's a
Surprisingly.
19 as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
I got a 17.
So
Ah, damn.
you
Bit better.
generated 1 momentum.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Looking through the ship's database, different animal classifications, families, scientific papers, studies, things like that. It takes you a while, but eventually you do come across a group that these bear, in some respects, a lot of similarity to. Mainly in their jelliness, and that is siphonophores.
What?
Siphonophores.
Okay.
Right.
Look that up.
Like siphon.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So,
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who aren't familiar with that word, siphonophores are basically colonial organisms, usually that live in water. Like, I think the Portuguese man of war, if you know of that. That is a siphonophore. It's basically colonies of tiny little creatures that come together, and then once they're joined, they specialize to perform a specific function within the larger colony creature.
Interesting. Yeah.
And their jelliness, and the data you got from that, more detailed data, seems to have a lot of similarities with that, although there are no previously known armored siphonophores, or siphonophores that exist outside of water, for that matter.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I've heard of that before, I believe, but yes.
Yes, I told you about them before.
But we've heard of them. Yeah. Anyway, yes. Yeah, it would make sense with the thing he said as well.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sure.
So,
How do they reproduce?
So, with most siphonophore species that you have in your databanks, they usually, some of them use spores, others just attain a certain mass and then split.
Mm-hmm.
Any further details or questions will require up to information spent?
So so they're coming together and forming these larger organisms during the eclipse, which suggests that they have a way of obtaining energy during this time to perform those tasks. But we currently don't have much clues as to what they would feed on. There was a suggestion earlier that there could be a radiation thing, but if there was, that would suggest that it was the lack of radiation during the eclipse that would have them surface.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be what they're feeding on, especially since they are hiding beneath the surface most of the time. They live in the underwater lakes and rivers, but can function on land under certain circumstances.
How to read? Oh, sorry, I'm reading. It was. Do we know what species it is?
This is an unknown species. It is likely native to this moon, and the moon has never been explored by anyone in your databanks.
There's only so much we can gain from comparing. It gives us some clues of things to look into. But like the actual specifics of it would need to come from studying the actual organism.
Yes.
So
Yes.
So we might have to catch the actual. I don't find it catching it.
yeah, I'm not sure if we would be able to effectively contain it, even if we did capture it, considering it burned all that equipment with whatever it can do. Melted it.
Lack of ink of it's
They're ignoring the probe, right?
Yes. so far, they have shown no interest in the probe whatsoever.
You didn't shoot at them,
They-
so
Attacked the Romulans.
If this Romulan guy you've got in sickbay is to be believed, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do a little test. See if it would attack you if you went down there.
Okay.
no.
Um,
I'm not convinced.
Did they shine? I assume they shot at it. I assume probably
Yeah,
the
he
Backfire
said
did.
with disruptors, and
Yeah, I
they got
don't-
some of them, but it were too many.
well, one thing I did consider when you were asking that, but didn't want to
Shine a light on it.
Who shot
your
first,
whole
Han
conversation.
or...
was who shot first. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
did they antagonize them?
That's a good one.
You know what?
With the light.
If you want to spend 1 momentum, I will allow you to have retroactively asked that question. It's obtain information. It's baked
If-
into the system.
The others would be okay with that. I would like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Rogue?
That'd be-
So Rogue?
that'd be nice.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah,
So,
fine.
I'd say it would be realistic to, yeah.
the answer is that Han did not shoot first. No, the answer is that according to him, they were just performing scans when they started to glow, and then they just started attacking them, and that's when they shot at them in defense.
So they shot a light on them, or they got a light on them, so they glowed.
But they're not glowing right now. We have no signs of them glowing yet.
Yes, because
That indicates that the scans triggered something. So, what happens when we perform a scan? Actually, what might they be reacting to?
the light.
Our scans don't produce light.
So I didn't know that.
Well, the ship is quite a ways away.
Well,
No, but like the probe is scanning
Yeah.
them. It is nearby. They would be
Yeah.
able to detect something
Mhm.
if anything was being output.
so it's a bit nebulous in Star Trek how exactly the sensors and tricorders and things work, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's reasonable to assume that it's split into 2 parts. One is passive sensors, which means just picking up information from the surroundings that just happens to be there. Like, for example, listening into radio frequencies, radio waves with an antenna. And the other is, of course, active sensors, active scans, which means like radar, something, or sonar, you're sending something out, seeing how it reacts, bounces back. Now, of course, in Star Trek, you've got subspace to deal with, allowing for example, faster than light sensors. But if the probe is doing active scans, which by the sounds of it, it is, then it's safe to assume that it's probably emitting some sort of radiation and or electromagnetic fields, but it's really too nebulous of a subject in Star Trek to
Established
really get into detail about it, because the sensors just do what they need to do, and it's never really gone into detail, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
I don't want to meta this, so I'm just. Like, the meta is obviously that you haven't put thought into it,
Yeah.
so it's probably not relevant.
Mhm.
But it is the only lead we have at present that it was reacting to something about the scanning process. When their survey equipment, we got a lot of scans of their equipment. Nero saw to that.
Yeah. What's the inside outs of their equipment?
Was there any more invasive equipment that they might have been using?
Nothing that you've found. However, what personal equipment might have been on their bodies, or the rest of the team, who knows?
Comes to Doviah.
Yes, Captain?
We are pursuing a theory that there may have been something about the Romulan activities which caused the creatures to react, since they have shown no response at all to our probes. Could you ask more detailed questions on exactly what they were doing when they became active? I'm trying really hard to separate out what I learned from listening to the previous conversation and what I already knew.
Yeah.
So,
You're doing an admirable job.
Thanks.
Captainable job.
Captainable job.
Bad puns, man. Bad puns.
Yes, sir. Sure. Anything else?
Did you obtain any relevant information prior to this point?
Well, I found out his name.
Which
Anyway.
is...
What you might want to know as well, it's Volmar Ulan of the Empire. And he did say that these entities started glowing and they attacked them first, and then that's where they attempted to defend themselves with the disruptors, and that it did work to some extent, but there were too many, and that's why, well, Volmar was in a cave, and so he wasn't affected by them, but the others were. That there was swarming. Apparently, there was swarming the area. These entities.
Very well. Get as much information as you can on the equipment that was being used, or any interactions the other Romulans may have been having with the environment, which may have antagonized these creatures.
Will do, sir.
Now what?
Now what? I mean, how much time has passed since since
Enough time for you to have finished questioning.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was probably on the way to the bridge. Okay.
It doesn't.
Anyway.
The details don't matter
Okay.
in this case.
Not important.
So probably turn around and go back.
Okay. You're in the turbo lift, going somewhere, holding on the handle. go back to sick bay. Goes back down.
Mm-hmm.
You return, and as you come back in, Chief Communications Officer, junior grade. Have you forgotten something?
No, I... Volmar, what is the correct... How am I... How would you wish to be addressed?
Ulan would be satisfactory.
Ulan, there is something else I wanted to ask you about. I just... if you would have the time...
Since the warbird has not returned, I appear to have plenty of time on my hands.
Alright. When the... I want to... What exactly what was the landing party, everyone doing when these entities arrived during the eclipse? Like what, like the scans that were conducted, like what exactly?
We were spread out.
Specifically, immediately before they started to glow.
Yes.
That's the concern.
Yes, before the entities started to glow.
We were spread out, measuring the effects of the crust cooling.
Right.
For purposes such as geological stability, of the flexing of the materials. When they started appearing as the eclipse had been underway, we immediately started scanning them, of course. We determined that they were likely not sentient, and they did not appear to show any interest in us.
Right.
And then at some point they began glowing and emitting heat, and that's when they swarmed and they attacked us.
And there wasn't anything that, I don't know, anything that was done that could have perhaps triggered this, like any...
I am unaware of anything that we could have done to provoke this.
Like, or
We
perhaps
did-
the atmosphere of the moon.
We had planned to more closely inspect some of them as the eclipse went on. However, our primary concern was to measure the natural materials under the cooling properties of the eclipse.
Right, and how exactly have you done that?
Basically, I'm not in this scene, but what the information we specifically need was, did anything whatsoever about their behavior or their scans or their procedures, did anything change in the time immediately before they started glowing? Or were they just doing the exact same thing they'd been doing and they started glowing?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So was that the captain just then on the comms?
Yeah.
No, that of course doesn't happen.
No. Okay.
Yes.
So, sure. So, these creatures or entities, you said they started to swarm you at one point. What were they doing before?
Freezing.
Or just before, like when they first appeared first? So what were they doing before?
Also the opposite of what we need to know.
Okay, just as players, get a clear idea of what you want to ask, and then you can ask it. Just
so
on players,
immediately,
just
immediately before. So, thing we were about. That's about. So, what happened? What's their behavior
I'm going
was?
to put this in chat.
I get what you
I'm
mean.
going to type it out in our chat.
I guess.
No,
what you
because
mean.
I already said it, and you obviously misinterpreted
No, I
what
wanted.
I said.
I
so
wanted
I'm going
to
to
just
type it
ask
out
that
in chat.
beforehand, and then ask specifically if there was anything that happened.
You
in the
already
behavior
asked that also.
before. Okay, so I'm not going to say that, and I'm just going to say this specific thing. Then. Okay, so before they started swarming you, before they started glowing, was there anything else that happened in the behavior? Anything that changed before they started glowing? Right before.
well, all of the individuals that we could observe, even in the distance, all began glowing at roughly the same time.
Right, and
It is highly unlikely that anything we had done triggered this behavior.
I see, but was there anything that happened before they started glowing?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Right.
That is more information.
Okay. And out of character, do we also know how exactly they attacked the Romulans? Like how exactly they attacked?
Well, you know how they move around from the probes scans, which is basically they roll around, occasionally compressing themselves like a spring a little bit to get across certain obstacles.
Right.
They don't fly, if that's what you're asking.
No, but like how they attacked them? They just.
I mean, if you want to ask details about how they attacked, you can try to ask him. If you think it's useful.
You could describe some of the damages around the site
The
of their
equipment.
ship and see if
Mm-hmm.
they were doing anything that would cause damages like that
Right.
when they were being attacked, or if that started later.
Yeah, that's true. So there was like stuff being melted, or like the cloth of the torn,
It was
or stuff like that.
Semi-melted and scorched.
Yeah.
There were scorch marks, but it's uncertain. It's unclear how much of the scorch marks were the disruptor pistols, but there was definitely damaged, somewhat melted metal that would not have been caused by the disruptors.
Right.
I'll check my notes for more specifics, but
Thank you.
No, I think you got it there.
Yep.
I think that was it.
I think that is it. What I remember anyway.
Mm-hmm. Same.
parts of the equipment are melted or dissolved.
Right. Dissolved. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, sure. I say, alright. And when we were down on the moon, we saw that your equipment was scorched, partially melted and dissolved. Was that, do you know what caused that exactly? I mean, some of that might be from the disruptors, most likely. And
I was not near the ship when they started attacking. I was preparing to set up the equipment in the caverns.
Right. But
So, but he said they attacked them.
yeah.
If he knew they attacked them, that means he witnessed an attack of some sort. So what did they do?
Yeah. So, but you did say that you were there when they attacked.
Yes. I was just moving the equipment into the cave when I got swarmed. I fended off the group near me and barricaded myself in the cavern.
Right.
And from communicator, through communications, I know that the same happened to the others. They said they were trying to make it to the ship, but I heard nothing further from them.
I see.
So the only attack was an intimidating breach of one's personal bubble.
Yes. By the sound of it.
He didn't go into detail?
The kind of thing you want to have confirmation on.
He didn't go into detail?
So, so they started. They started attacking when you first scanned them, correct?
No. Are you? Like
They
I have
start
said
glowing.
before. Like I have said before. When they first started emerging, we immediately took scans. They completely ignored us.
Yes.
Then, as the eclipse went on, they started glowing. And that is when they attacked.
Okay.
They,
Right.
They were everywhere. Not jumping. No, I do not know the word. They came at us. Glowing hot.
Right.
So bright. I've already told you this.
Yes. So glowing hot.
Was it hot enough to potentially cause damage, or was
exactly.
it just unpleasant?
Yes. So would you say it would be feasible for them to have caused the heat damage on the equipment, on your equipment?
I do not know the extent of the damage on the equipment. I was not there.
Well,
We have scans.
we have scanned them and they appear to have been partially melted and scorched.
Do you show them? Do
Disintegrate.
you show them the stuff?
Dissolved.
Yeah. Yes. If the equipment had been in prolonged contact, then I would say yes.
All right.
But I am feeling tired.
Yes. Sure, I believe that was all. So, thank you very much for your time again. It's very helpful.
If you should have any more questions, I will endeavor to answer them if I can.
Thank you very much, and have a pleasant rest.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll head back up to the bridge, into the same turbo lift, and go to the bridge.
Do you keep all your information to yourself? Do you keep it to yourself? All your information?
No. Why would I do that?
I don't know. There might be certain other individuals in our Star Trek games who don't talk. So you report the data.
Should that be in character or not?
Whatever you want.
I'll just report. I'd say no. Let's just keep it going.
Okay. Sure.
Just report everything said to the captain and to the science. Yeah. So,
yeah.
And I'm on the bridge.
Right. So we have more information.
Yeah. Yes.
So
right. So
they are there's something that triggered all of them that were within sight to start glowing on the moon. So
right.
they were gathering into larger organisms before they started glowing.
Believe that was said.
Thing.
Are you sure about that?
No.
I'm not sure if it was stated explicitly. He said they came together to form larger things that moved. But I'm not sure if it was said when that happened. I think when they were attacking. I don't know. Is that another thing we can use momentum for, or do I have to go back again?
So he was very vague on the exact sequence, because when asked about the patterns of swarming, he did seem to go back to when they were first sighted, but continued to after they started to attack. So it's unclear exactly when they started glowing within that sequence.
Yeah.
Only that they started as individuals, then they clustered, moved as larger entities. At some point after that, they attacked.
Yes. So is that...
I think it's reasonable to say that all of this is taking a significant amount of time in-game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
at some point,
The Wobbit arrives.
at the end of that, Bijar contacts the captain and through that also Nero and says,
But I think you said the wrong name.
no, sorry, I didn't mean Bijar, I meant
Yeah.
I meant the bridge. Someone on the
Yeah.
bridge contacts.
Let's take her.
Yes. Apologies.
Am I really that forgetful?
Yeah. So on the bridge, contacts you and says, Captain, I'm detecting a change in the aliens. You'd better get to the bridge. See for yourself.
Okay.
As helpful as
Lovely.
always.
Yeah.
So-
Let's go to the bridge and confirm more or less what we already know. Yeah.
Yay.
So, you get to the bridge, see on sensor data. I'll make this quick. You can see that there are now a whole lot of them everywhere, even more than before. They seem to have, you are informed that the rate at which they appear from beneath the surface has flattened. And there was a time where they didn't do much of anything, but now the probe is detecting that they are emitting a small amount of heat. And they appear to be clumping together, not glowing. Moving together to form these larger sort of mounds-ish. And as you're watching, they do indeed begin to glow. A really, really large amount of heat is being generated. Sensors show over 600 degrees Celsius. As they begin to join together, forming larger organisms.
Okay. So, to an extent, it makes general sense in principle. You know, you're creating a more complex organism that is completing more complex tasks, and the more complex tasks you're completing, the more energy is produced. Usually, there's a bunch of heat waste.
Oh, yeah.
So we would need a more medically oriented scan in order to figure out what kind of processes are going on within the organisms. Could we fit a second probe with that and beam it down?
Sure, but it would be a momentum cost of 2. Currently at 3 momentum.
Go ahead.
Sure. Also, can we fit microphones?
I mean, if you want to fit microphones,
Let's strap a microphone on it. It should be
if
fine.
you want to fit microphones,
Yeah.
sure, go ahead.
Could be useful.
Okay. And just for convenience sake, let's say that you manage to beam a probe with that equipment down, because if you didn't manage to beam one down the first time, I'm assuming you would just try again until you succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I got probe less on board, and you can now take more medically oriented scans. So, what would you like to do, I wonder?
I wonder. So, most likely, in preparation for taking these medical scans, we'd have Chief Medical Officer
Rasking, yes.
Ella Brasking, yes.
We'd have her on the bridge to analyze the data firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
So presumably she'd be making the roll.
Fine by me. You've got 1 momentum left. Do you want her to buy dice? The difficulty...
I would love her to buy a die.
Yeah, really one.
The difficulty is 0, but the more successes you get, the more details you find out.
I would like more details.
We all like
That's
more
right.
details.
Okay.
Let
Details
us
are fun.
purchase a
Also,
D20.
since you're using a probe, the ship will assist with census plus medicine.
Great.
Alright?
So, 3 dice.
And she doesn't have any notable talents or focuses to take into account here.
No. Not yet.
Alright.
Okay, here we go.
Oh,
That's
a
one.
nice
two,
momentum roll.
That's 4 successes
Well
right there.
Nice.
Okay, so, Rogue, would you like to roll for the ship?
What is it?
Sensors plus medicine.
Sensors medicine. I already selected it.
Oh, cool. 1. Okay, so just roll, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. 1.
Ah,
So,
Alright,
good.
5.
Great.
Great.
I'm repeat low today. Nice. Very nice.
Okay, so it is revealed
Yes.
that there appears to be a layer of chemicals on the outside of those metal plates of armor that appears to be generating that heat. I won't go into details of what the chemicals are because I don't know. But in universe, makes sense. There's a chemical reaction going on that appears to be triggered by the creature's proximity to each other.
Ah.
That extreme heat that's generated, by the way, is just higher than the melting point of aluminium.
So a way of properly joining together by melting through their exoskeleton so they can merge into a proper single entity without having those barriers in the way.
That would appear to be the case, yes. Now, it looks like with all this heat, the creatures seem to be capitalizing on that extra heat generation. They're becoming much, much more energetic around there, effectively using their bodies as springs to launch themselves around the place, specifically towards other sources of heat.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Right.
Well,
You also gain
Now
a
we-
whole bunch more detailed scans about the biology of these creatures. But I'm not sure if there's anything that you would like details on.
Yeah, we could just throw that into our ship's resume.
Resume. Sure.
yeah, lovely scientific breakthroughs.
Good. Just set that aside for reputation. Discovered something.
Yeah.
They like jalapenos.
Yeah. That's good. We put more information. Good.
So, would you like to spend any of that wonderful momentum on obtain information?
So the thing is, I think while we obviously are getting a lot of information from this, I think we have capped out on the amount we can learn about the mysteries we were trying to solve from this. Which means I don't think spending momentum on obtain information at this time would be useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like we know what they're doing now. We know why they attacked the Romulans. We know more or less how they function. So there are really only a few questions we still have. Which are obviously what happens when the eclipse is over, which we will find out when the eclipse ends.
If the eclipse ends.
The eclipse will end.
In one way or another.
The orbits are still going, as far as I know.
Have you checked?
Anyway.
Yes.
Ha.
Continue on, please.
So there's the chemical reaction that is allowing them to come together. The only question I think we can learn right now, that would be interesting to know, would be what do they actually live on? What do they aspirate? What do they consume? What is going on? How are they alive on this planet that seemingly has no other living organisms on? Moon.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that's not something for this role, is it? Okay.
Yeah. This is
the
yeah,
medical
so we
role.
can
If there was
find out.
ever a role.
Yeah. Wasn't sure.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah. I can't think of anything else you could ask. I think that's a good one.
Yes.
I'd be up for spending the momentum for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
We have 5.
Yep.
So
And it's only going to cost
Why
you
not?
1.
Nice.
So, after further study, it is of course difficult to tell because they do appear to mainly exist underwater. But it appears that they have the ability to extract useful resources out of the rock around them, similar to how fungi can extract resources from rock.
All right.
And break those down into different chemicals. And it also appears that the main source of energy generation for them is through external heat.
Right.
And we do know that it got warmer deep in the caverns, but not as warm as the surface.
Yes.
But they needed something from the water, because they live in the water.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And if they produced this much heat in the water, their water would be gone.
It would come to explosive water evaporation.
So it does make sense that they would come to the surface to produce this heat.
Yeah.
So they live in the water, and when whatever something about the eclipse kind of allows them to realize that the eclipse is happening, even though they're deep underground. I don't know. They come to the surface. They form a big ball, produce a bunch of heat, consume a bunch of rock, and we'll see what happens when the eclipse ends.
I can hardly wait.
However, if they do reproduce by attaining sufficient energy to divide, then it would indeed be a reproductive cycle thing.
Seems like it.
But it could not be. I don't know. We'll find out as the eclipse continues. If we see them reproducing. And whatever they do when they split up. If they split up. I don't know. Maybe they just die. I don't know.
Yeah. We don't know yet.
But we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait and find out.
Watch closely
Wait and
from
find
above.
out.
So, we start making reports and wait for things to change.
So,
Sounds good.
this process continues on for several more hours until at one point, so at the end of this period, most of the aluminium plates have either fully melted or have become almost this viscous, well, partially viscous, partially melted thing. And at one point they do indeed all begin to split again. The metal is flowing around this mass as it splits, clinging to the surface in these globules as they all become well, smaller and smaller. They split down to about a third of the size that they originally had. And as they begin to roll around, as the metal's cooling, the plates begin to form again, smoothed, as things are cooling down. Eventually, only about half an hour before the eclipse ends, they all vanish into the tunnels, and the surface once again becomes calm.
Intriguing.
And the probes were
this
not
would have
attacked.
been-
The probes were not attacked at all during any of this, of course.
Right? That's good.
All right. Reproduction cycle. Woo.
Yep.
So, what would you like to do now? Who would like to break the news to your guest?
The communications, why not? Do something useful. They are communications, right?
They are.
Well, there you go then.
Okay. So I'd probably just call him and tell him the information.
I mean,
If I can reach him.
yes, you can. But I was hoping for something a little bit more involved than that. But if that's how you want to play this, then that's
For
fine by me.
this, yeah, we're just taking even longer. Yeah.
I mean, we have 15 minutes left. What do you
Yeah.
think we're gonna do?
I thought if there was going to happen something afterwards, perhaps.
Oh, there probably will, but
Yeah, the Romulan ship will probably arrive. But you know, having
Yeah.
a final conversation on positive terms with the Romulan we have in our custody, protective custody at this time, it might be a good idea. You know,
Yeah.
in fact, it is probably something the captain would get involved in at this point.
interesting.
Or
By the
to
way,
maintain positive relations.
by the way, I'm assuming that you recover those 2 probes.
Yes.
Okay, so your probe count goes back up by 2.
Phew.
Yeah.
Also, do we scan them before we take them in
Yeah,
again?
we can glance over that. We can
Sure.
yeah.
Just glance over the scans, okay. So yeah, we'd
So-
Okay. So
probably.
the captain and Doviah
Yeah.
go to see the Romulan guy.
Volmar, Ulan
Okay.
of the Empire.
You enter the sickbay, and indeed you see him. Now what?
Now what?
Ulan Volmar. I am Captain Shiun of the USS Pathos. And
Greetings.
I would like to give you a report on our findings, now that the eclipse is complete.
I am intrigued.
I want to make sure I get words right. It seems that these creatures are some sort of siphonophore. They
I am
do indeed.
unfamiliar with that
Yes.
term.
They are colonial organisms. They, as you witnessed, join together to form larger organisms. It seems that the heat they were producing was to melt their exoskeletons so that they could properly join together. And so they could use that heat to fuel themselves. It seems that they were drawn to your body heat as a source of further fuel for their reproductive cycle.
If I understand correctly, you are saying that my awaiting was killed because they were mistaken for these siphonophores.
It's unclear exactly what they were mistaken for, only that these siphonophores are drawn to other heat signatures, and you and your crew would have been the only other heat signatures on the moon at the time.
This is interesting. Captain, I thank you for your openness in this matter.
Of course, you have a right to know what happened to your crew.
The Star Empire has a potential interest in this system. May we perhaps arrange a trade when the sealer gets here? The data you have collected will be most valuable, I would assume.
What form of trade?
If you are interested in credits, we can supply those. However, we also keep on board a supply of dilithium for trade with those who do not use energy credits as a form of currency. Of course, you will have to take this matter up with my commander when the ship arrives, but I am quite certain that he will be interested.
Then I shall discuss it with him.
Right. Captain, I think you will be pleased to know that my experiences here on this Federation vessel do not at all reflect what we are taught in our training process. Thank you.
You are quite welcome.
Okay.
Right.
Would anyone like to add anything to that?
So I've given a nod to him as well.
Okay, good addition. Thank you. So,
Okay, so, right. Probably that's probably it. That'll be the end of the
So
scene, probably.
while waiting for the Romulan ship, probably would have a gathering of the senior staff to sort of discuss the merits and potential downfalls of having such a trade, and whether or not what would be an equivalent exchange.
okay.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
So, is that something that you want to roleplay, or is that something you want to have happen off screen?
I think that can happen off screen. We can save the roleplay for
Yeah.
actually talking with the Romulans.
Sure.
So I imagine that will be more interesting. So if we could just
Yeah.
get like a quick summary, that's fine.
Okay, I'll be interested to hear the summary. Go ahead. No. Okay. Fine. Well, I could make you roll for this, you know. But no. In summary, the Romulans, the only trade that has been going on with the Romulans is civilians illegally trading for Romulan ale, which is contraband. So this is an opportunity to take a first step in establishing any sort of formal arrangement with the Romulans at all, other than the formation of the neutral zone, of course, which was done after the Earth-Romulan War over 100 years ago. I think it's over 100 years ago. Don't quote me on that number. I haven't looked it up. So, the NPC, senior staff, don't have any objections to that. Severu notes that having more dilithium reserves on board is always a good thing. If any of the players have things that they would like to input or voice their opinions on the matter, now's the time.
No, I think I'm good.
I can't think of anything.
Alright.
Sounds like a good idea.
In that case, I guess we will set what seems like a reasonable exchange rate that would probably be haggled down when actually talking with them.
Okay.
Depending on how they're feeling about this trade, but we'll pick something that seems reasonable, maybe slightly more, depending, but no, just reasonable price.
Sounds reasonable.
Yes.
Roll appraised. No. Okay, so
we don't need to establish what that is. Just
yeah. Of course.
I'll throw out the number when the conversation is happening.
I will. I need to make some quick notes. Only be a moment.
Okay. I just realized that one of my character's career events we established was helping set up the first trading agreement with the First Federation. Now I'm setting up another first trade agreement with the Romulans.
I thought of that as well.
You should be very good at it, yeah?
Poetic.
Okay.
Well,
nice. So, after another good few hours, eventually, when you're on the bridge, Doviah, your comms, you are receiving a hail from seemingly nowhere.
Audio only? Or is it?
It is visual.
Okay. Captain, I'm receiving a hail. I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's visual.
Put it on screen.
I do that.
On screen comes a Romulan woman's face wearing the same sort of chain armor, not wearing a helmet this time. You can see the traditional colourful background of the Romulan ships in this era, purples and stuff. She says, Starfleet vessel. This is Venera, commander of the Empire and the Warbird Sealer. Identify yourselves and give a reason for your presence.
One moment.
One moment. Oh, I know. There you go.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Post then transplant. Okay.
Okay. So, I am Captain Shiun of the USS Pathos. We intervened after we discovered that your science team had been attacked by an unknown entity. One of your soldiers,
The rank is Ulan.
Ulan Volmar, was taken into protective custody while we investigated the matter. Your equipment and the small craft have received minor damages. However, we have ascertained the nature of the beings which attacked, and as long as no one is on the moon during the eclipse, there should be no problems in further investigating the moon's nature.
You tell an interesting story, Captain. Would it be too
I
much
could
to ask?
bring Ulan Volmar, if you would like.
That would be helpful.
Right. I call for him to be brought from Medbay.
He is brought in the matter of minutes. Comes on.
Sure.
As he comes on, he looks at the screen and says, Commander Venera. Volmar, Ulan of the Empire reporting. I am the only survivor of the mission. We were attacked by the native fauna. I was rescued by these people. She responds, she thinks a moment, responds. Captain, I would appreciate the return of my crewman before we continue our conversation. Hello, Nella.
Of course.
Welcome.
Yes.
Sorry. Sorry.
Hello!
Hello. Yes, I saw as well.
Of course. If you would permit, we can beam him over immediately.
That is... How do you say? A positive outcome. Thank you. At this point, J. Baylor says, Sir, Romulan Warbird decloaking just aft of us. And on the screen you can see just behind the Pathos is a Romulan Warbird decloaking. Like really just behind you. They have not got their shields or weapon systems up. Do you...
I don't think I like it up my ass.
Alright. Arrange for transport.
Okay. He, before he gets beamed over, thanks you again for your kindness, and gets transported over. And since we've already gone past 11, let's just say that negotiations are had, and for the information, a price of 6 dilithium lattices is agreed upon, which is a fair price. And is there anything further that you would like to do before we end the episode?
I think I'd like to say something along the lines of I do hope that we can maintain such positive interactions in the future rather than some of our past encounters.
That would be most agreeable. Should the warbird Sealer find itself in a position to aid the Pathos, we will do so, as long as it does not countermand orders from above. I hope we meet again, Captain.
Indeed. And of course, you will have our aid if we can, and if it does not go against our orders as well.
That is appreciated. I shall let you get on your way. And the call ends. And unless anyone has any closing remarks,
Now would be the time.
going once, going twice.
And there's usually something at
No.
the end of these episodes, but
But that's fine. That's a good ending. Right? And Pathos turns away, breaks orbit, and continues to new adventures as the episode is over. That was Season 1, Episode 12, Neath the Shale Stirs. So that's
what
that.
a nice ending.
Yay!
Everything turned out okay.
An episode,
Favorably.
an episode where nothing went horribly wrong.
Wow!
Yes.
Wow.
And we
Go for
learned things, and we negotiated with the Romulans. Everything's good.
It feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's that then. Thank you all very much for watching this stream. This stream will be archived on YouTube as usual. And next time round, we will have a new episode with an exciting new title and plot that I have not entirely come up with yet. And I do have ideas floating around, but I need to
I would hope so.
do stuff.
It's a week away.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with me isn't really that I have a lack of ideas floating around. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks. Bye bye. Good night, everybody. Thanks,
Bye.
VGR, Roomspath, Nella,
Indeed. Yes.
Tango, and chat.
Yes. Yeah. Bye everyone.
Bye bye. Just
See you all on Saturday. Yes, indeed.
Let's wait for Roomspath to maybe respond if they're still here. Let's quickly check the
Or
user
awake.
chat view.
Yeah.
Oh, there appear to be quite a few bots there.
Yeah. At the very bottom there.
Yeah, Roomspath. Anyway,
But
maybe
it's fine.
Roomspath fell asleep. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
See ya. Bye. Have fun. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming, Nella.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
And